Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Do you know about the phenomenon of K-pop, weeb, and other foreign cultures that are currently often loved by the people of Indonesia? Or are you one of the many people who follow this phenomenon? Maybe many of you think that this phenomenon is normal. In fact, the impact of this phenomenon is quite large. One of them is the weakening of Indonesian cultural values that have existed since a long time. Many of us, especially young people, are currently experiencing a national identity crisis. You must be wondering, what is a national identity crisis? So, I'm Ibrahim Abdul from SMA Doa Bangsa, and let me tell you about the national identity crisis amongst the youth. The national identity crisis is an act where a person has received so much intake from foreign cultures, thus diminishing the national values that exist in itself. There are several causes of this phenomenon. Amongst them are the lack of sense of nationalism and patriotism, the lack of sense of gotong royong between friends, teachers, older people, and family, and the thought of Indonesian, who take that the foreign cultures are way cooler and better than the Indonesian culture. And also the lack of practice of Indonesian national ideology, which is Pancasila. Let me give you an example. If you know, that is the word that is very popular in the young people right now, called one circle. One circle is another word for a gang where only selected people with the same case and thoughts can join to the gang. If you are not in the same case and you're not in the same thought, you can't join that gang. From that statement, we already know that this principle does not align with the third sila, namely Persatuan Indonesia. I have a story. I have a little friend. We are a student in the same elementary school. A few months ago, I attended a reunion from my elementary school, and when I met this childhood friend of mine, I was a little shocked because the change that had happened to her, it isn't like where she was in elementary school. Now she tends to more like cultures from South Korea. She told me that her room are currently filled with things of South Korean cultures, which is none other than K-pop. Now she had more a hedonist lifestyle. She follows the South Korean lifestyle, and many more. In fact, her love for South Korean cultures makes her know nothing about Indonesian culture. After talking to the new her, I felt a little strange because I felt like I just met a completely different person. Before I continue, I want to tell you one thing. I do not prohibit or blame or corner those of you who like things from other countries, like their culture, their lifestyle, and so on. I'm here to emphasize that this thing should not bury your sense of nationalism, your sense of gotong royong, your sense of politeness, etc. I'm here to invite all Indonesian students from various levels to carry on doing and preserve the Indonesian culture that are already famous in the whole world, so that our national identity crisis does not cause a big problem and be a bad impact for us, especially for Indonesia. To be honest, I'm also a person who really like foreign culture, such as Japanese culture. However, my love for Japanese culture does not make my identity as an Indonesian increasingly faded. I got that kind of thought when I was in school, especially at SMA Doa Bangsa. There are so many great teachers who inspires me to become a better person who explores the world without having to leave my identity as an Indonesian. And we, as students, we should try to avoid this phenomenon by starting to love our culture and introducing our Indonesian culture to the world. Maybe that's all from me. Thank you so much. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.